My name is Barry Saroff, and this is my first video on hip-hop analysis. I'm going to be taking some of my favorite rappers, my favorite tunes, and breaking it down in terms of what their flow is, what the structure is, and how the stuff is really put together. We're going to start today with Jay-Z, the song Kill Jay-Z off of the album 444. I love this track. It is very much a guy who's got a thing to say and is saying it. A lot of his past virtuosic ability is put to the side in order to express the thing that he wants to say, and what you end up with is a very raw, very clear track about his own mistakes, which is really rare in hip-hop. Most guys are just like, I'm the best, look at me, and all this kind of crap, but this guy is like, I'm over 40, fuck this is the situation, this is how I'm laying it out, and this is how I'm dealing with it. And it's incredibly interesting. And we do get a chance to look at his flow. I notated the thing so you'll be able to see exactly what his rhymes are, what his schemes are, how he lays down on rhythm, all that kind of stuff. We'll look at that in a minute. And we're also going to look at structure of the tune, the use of the samples, all that kind of thing. It's going to be great, and I'm really happy that you're watching this. So please check it out. There will be an intro. It's going to go right here. But for right now, we're just going to go right into the thing. Okay, thanks. Okay, this is an example of speech notated in music. This is from Frank Zappa, transcribed by Steve Vai in '83. Zappa is making fun of rap here. He is trying to show that anybody can rap because it is just talking into a microphone over a beat. Now, obviously, this is not true. In '83, rap was considered a flash in the pan, so he didn't take it too seriously, but we sure do now. So you can see the complications in the music here. There's 4/2 here, these 5, all these numbers are complicated subdivisions. The whole thing looks like a mess, and you're going to see some of that, because rap is basically a combination of speech and musical patterns. And you'll see both when we look at the Jay-Z. But I want to point out one particular thing here. This guy here. This here. See all these lines here? The more lines you get, the shorter the beat. You'll notice that it connects onto this, which means that here's the downbeat. Here's what happens right before that beat. So he's laying this out right before the beat. You're going to see this a lot in Jay-Z because of his conversational style. Not everything is going to fall right on the beat. Sometimes it'll be a little early like this. Sometimes it'll be a little later, which we'll see a little bit. And that's pretty much how this is going to work.
Okay, so this is the transcription. You see the instrumentation here, the drums, the electric bass, which rides around the E flat minor. You have your synth, which is that air horn kind of thing that comes in and out in the background. I put in all the keyboards under electric organ. It's actually fairly more complicated than I put here, but for my purposes, I kept it simple. And then the most important part, the Jay-Z part. You kind of see he's using this refrain of Jay-Z as his rhyme, and he's coming in over here. You kind of start seeing where he's coming in late. You see this disaster of arrest here? Yeah, so that means this is displaced by that much. So it's a tiny little bit late, and then this is going to come in over here. This is going to continue to have it late. We go on, and here's the entrance of the sample.
So let's talk about the sample. Hopefully you're hearing it right now. It is from a song called Don't Let It Show by the Alan Parsons Project. It is an incredibly English song about how you don't let your feelings show, you get through it, you don't admit any kind of wrongdoing, you don't admit it. It could be a theme song for every other rapper but Jay-Z. Then he uses this sample really to great effect by undermining the main story behind the lyrics. So you see over here he uses this, he says, they'll never love you, they'll never be enough, and we have Alan Parsons echoing that sentiment with they'll never love you coming right after. And throughout it, you see Alan Parsons kind of undermining what Jay-Z is trying to say, or talking about his ego as this negative thing. I mean, who doesn't have Alan Parsons as the voice in their head telling them what a piece of shit they are? So,
There'll never be enough. Let's just keep it real, Jay-Z. Fuck Jay-Z. All this undermining of his ego, and all the bad stuff that he did. Shot your own brother, lack of trust, you know better, you can do better. So this is Sean Carter saying to Jay-Z, you can do better than this because you got a family now. You owe it to Blue. You owe it to your daughter to do better. And he talks about his own faults. You had a father. You had you had no father. You had the armor. His own upbringing was what led him to have this ego that is nothing but a defense mechanism for him to be the best that he can in this, but also protect himself from any kind of wrongdoing that he might have done. And he's trying to kill it. He's trying to get rid of it. Die, Jay-Z. You don't need this anymore. You don't need an alibi. So there's a lot of this undermining, a lot of this brokenness. We know the pain is real. Take a look at these rhythms. You'll notice he often comes a lot late through here, but there's also these early things. This is all due to his particular tendency towards storytelling. He is very much a leaning towards speech kind of rapper. We'll see others where they're really more about the beat, more about keeping an even flow throughout. Now, this is the one place where you really get the even flow. Take a look at that. I mean, compare this to this. Look at this. Here's a disaster. Look at all these lines over here. Man, that's crazy. But here, you can tell he really wants you to understand what he's saying. You know you owe the truth to all the youth that fell in love with Jay-Z. That is an important line for him. It is dead even throughout. And he wants you to understand that he is doing this because he wants his fans to know that what he's done in the past is not the right way to go, and to battle that tendency towards ego, which is, you know, like I said, is very prevalent through rap. This defense mechanism that people have. This is one of my favorite measures here because it really encapsulates all the different kinds of rhythmic variations that he uses. You see over at the beginning of this, he's dead on with You Got High on, and then he pushes the life a little bit late on the beat. And then kind of it continues with it, with that shit, and then continues, and then with You, it's a little bit before the beat. So this is a pretty good example of showing Jay-Z's freedom when it comes to the beat. It all sounds very natural, and the reason it sounds natural is because his tendency towards speech as opposed to musical patterns. And his balance is perfect because it all lays down wonderfully. Okay, here's a little notation thing I wanted to mention. Notice some of these notes, and it happens a little bit earlier too, are X'd out. And the reason they're X'd out is because Jay-Z has this tendency, especially for these little pickup words that come before the main sections, to swallow syllables. So but comes out more like but, where you lose the U altogether, and those are really hard to pitch out. But and he does this very, very, very short or non-existent syllables through that. Now I want to talk a little bit about this section in terms of his relationship with Kanye West.
Quick word to Jay-Z about Kanye West. Yeah, you're right. If everybody's crazy, you're the one that's insane. But this guy is certifiably insane. So I wouldn't take anything that he does too personally, too much about it. It's pretty much all about him. People's actions tend to be more about themselves than about the people that they're reacting to. Maybe you want to look at other things in your life about that, but this is a guy who is not a good mirror for you. Do your thing.
Okay, so onward. I want to talk a little bit about what I'm not dealing with here, which is the rhyme scheme. A lot of this, especially compared to your earlier records, is very simple. He is, like I've said before, more interested in saying the thing he wants to say rather than the rhyme. If you kind of look at this, you know, Crazy How Life Works. It's a little off the beat, but it's essentially on the 4.
Not on your chest. Imagine how a knife hurts. On the 4. All of these rhymes, records, reckless, all of this stuff is right on the last beat, which is your really basic rhyme scheme. If you listen to very early hip-hop, you'll see that as your template. And what makes it interesting is all of this rhythmic variation that he does on this. That's what makes his flow, which is why I'm focused on that.
So the next place where we get this more steady kind of groove going on here comes at where he hits the cadence. You almost went Eric Benet. Let the baddest girl. Look at that. Nice, even 16th notes. The baddest girl in the world get away. I don't even know what else to say. Still nice and steady. Okay? A little off here. This is the one place in this tune where the beat really drops. There's nothing going on there but that. So, obviously, this is a crucial line. And he really wants you to draw attention to it. Alright, home stretch. He really takes this very last section and is very clear with it as well. I don't even know what you would have done in the future other playing football with your son. Nice and even right through the end of it. Until about here where he starts going a little off. He's pretty serious about this because he's talking about his kids. And the thought of losing them on what would have happened had he continued with the behavior that he had, and that's his big concern. Once we get to the end, we have a return of that refrain, Nah Jay-Z by Jay-Z. Very, very free off of the beat. And then this wonderful closing where the sample really takes hold, and you get a lot of activity in that. I love what No ID does through this whole last section. These are cool, these little cut up vocal parts here, very kind of glitchy moments here, and then over here, and then that pretty much takes us to the end of the tune, and that's it.
There's a few people I want to thank, a few fellow YouTube people and some podcasters who really helped me out in understanding the music and kind of going through this. Lyricology has been tremendous. They do great bar-by-bar breakdowns as well as the Genius stuff. Hip Hop DX is fantastic for your more cultural stuff, and Dissect, the podcast, breaks down full albums similarly to the way we're doing over the course of a season, and it is absolutely tremendous, so it's definitely worth checking out. I'm glad to see other people working along these lines as well. So I hope you enjoyed this. Like it, subscribe it. It's important because then I know to make more of these. If nobody likes it, then I'm not going to make any more, and then everybody will be sad. So like it, subscribe it, let me know that you dug it, and hopefully there'll be more of these down the pike. Thank you.